All right, guys, this episode I think is going to be very valuable for you. It's basically the 3 reasons why your practice is stuck or will get stuck. To give you a preview, number 1, 80-20 in the wrong way. Number 2, not understanding price structure. Number 3, you do not understand marketing and sales for your specific business model. Hey, appreciate all you listening. Appreciate all of you listening. If you have listened and gained some value from this podcast, I'd love for you to go on Apple or Spotify and write us a review. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. 5-star review. Absolutely would appreciate it very, very much so we can share the message with other people. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business School for the Rehab Chiropractor. Class is officially in session. My name is Justin Rabinowitz, and I am a rehab chiropractor on a mission to teach you, a fellow rehab chiropractor, the exact tools and systems I've used to build my own successful rehab chiropractic practice so you can do the same. I hope you enjoy, and please subscribe. Let's dive right in. So we have 3 reasons why most of your practices are stuck. We have 3 reasons why when you get started, you eventually get frustrated, get burnt out, and hopefully figure it out. But as we all know, chiropractic is one of those professions where the most people burn out and then end up leaving the profession for a lot of different reasons. So if this podcast helps you do nothing more than figure out how not to let that happen, I think it's been a success. So the 3 reasons, let's just list them out, and then we will get into detail with all 3. The first thing is the 80-20 rule, but the wrong way of 80-20. The second thing is price structure. And the third thing is not understanding the marketing and sales message specifically for the rehab chiropractic practice. So going back to 1, the 80-20 rule. We've all heard of Pareto's principle, 80-20. So typically 80% of your activity is usually spent on hopefully the 20% that is the most productive aspect of your business or practice in this example. The problem is early on in business and even later in business, people potentially lose focus or don't understand what their 80-20 should be. So they often flip it. So what does that look like in practice? If you're just getting started, I call this the Gucci-Fucci rule, named after one of our former podcast guests and one of our most successful mastermind members, Mike Fucci. So shout out to Mike. I met Mike about a year ago now, and I got on a call with him. And if you've heard Mike on the podcast, he's a high energy guy. So a lot of action, very, very motivated. And I could tell from talking to him, he was super stressed out. And he hadn't opened his practice yet. And I said, what is the actual thing that is stressing you out? He said, I haven't been able to figure out the EHR system. I don't know exactly, which one to go with. And I could tell that this was weighing on him a ton. And I sort of stopped him in that moment and said, this is completely irrelevant. The EHR system won't have to work if you don't have a patient to put in the EHR system. And so he was spending 80% of his time worrying about an EHR system when the reality was he needed to go figure out how to get patients in the door and keep patients in the door. Because if he didn't have that, the EHR was irrelevant. And so we call that the Gucci-Fucci rule, first of all, because we can sort of poke fun at it because he's figured it out and had wild success. So the fact that he learned his lesson and now focuses on what's most important, that's how I can bring it up and he'll be okay with that. But for so many of you guys out there, if you haven't started, have just getting started or potentially stuck, what I would want you to do is take a step back and look at what 80% of your stress, anxiety, and focus is on. I talk to so many people and it's like, hey, what are you worried about? My business licensing and how do I run insurance and where do I get this and how do I do all these tactical things? Now, don't get me wrong. They're important. You have to have a business license. You have to know what insurance to have, contracts, and there are things that are important. However, if you're getting a business off the ground, that's the 20%. Literally 20% of your time should be spent just making sure that the box is checked so you don't do anything illegal. But oftentimes what happens is that 20% becomes 80%. 80% of your focus and attention and energy goes to the things that don't help you build the business. And when that happens, you wonder why you get frustrated. Well, you don't have any customers. You don't have any patients. And so you have your business license and you have your forms filled out and you have your documentation and you have the contract for payment plans, all these different things that, again, it's irrelevant if you don't have customers. I see this all the time in our EYSL course this is our starter course. This is for chiropractors that are in school, soon to be grads or new graduates that have opened their own practice. And we spend so much time talking marketing and sales. And it's amazing because I never get marketing and sales questions. But what I get is, do you have a form to have a patient sign a payment plan this? Or do you have a form for to get people cancel appointments? Or what's your cancellation policy? And my answer is always, why don't we understand marketing and sales so they don't cancel? Why don't we get them to potentially pay for sessions in full so we don't have to worry about that? Why don't we worry about giving them the best customer service and experience so that they don't ask for a refund? Then you don't need a form. Now, again, I'm not telling you to be reckless, but I'm telling you that 80% should be on the things that we spoke about just now: customer service, getting new patients, client experience. Those are the things that are going to build your business. I promise you, you'll figure the rest of it out. So 20% of your time, your focus and energy should be on the tactics and the details, but 80% should be on doing the main thing. Make sure to keep the main thing. Said better, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. So that's number one. 80%, 80-20 rule. Gone in the wrong direction is going to derail your business. Number two is price. And so speaking specifically in the rehab chiropractic world, the problem that I often see, I see it over and over and over again, is we have chiros that are starting their own practice, and like I did myself, I spent time shadowing and talking to other doctors that I looked up to. And a couple things that happened. The problem is they have a different practice structure than us. Sometimes they're seeing 4 patients an hour and they have rehab assistants. And so they can charge a certain price because of their volume of patients. And the rehab assistants are usually free help. And so if you copy their price and then you have to hire a rehab assistant and pay them, well, the price is now irrelevant. Or usually what happens, and again, this is just simple math, you go and spend time with a rehab, with a chiropractor who's seeing 4 patients an hour at $80 a session, and you want to spend more time, so you do 2 sessions an hour, 30 minutes each, and you then charge $85 or $75 or $80. None of those numbers work. It's just simple math. If someone's doing $80 for 4 sessions an hour and you're doing $80 for 2 sessions an hour, that math does not work. You're going to be out of business. And so if you're going to be a rehab chiropractor and spending 30 minutes or an hour like many of our mastermind members do, you have to understand price structure. And again, there's no I'm not withholding information here. Just do the math. If your mentor is seeing 4 patients an hour at $80, 80 times 4 is what? And then you better be charging at least that for 1 hour, right? So 240 or whatever that math is. I could be wrong. Doesn't even matter. You do the math. Math is not hard. We have it on our cell phone. 80 times 4, you better be generating that per hour if that practice is successful. Now, the other problem is that some of you guys are going to shadow people and spend time and have mentors that are your clinical mentors, but you don't realize that their bank account is zero. And so they might be charging $90 for 30 minutes. And you might be like, oh, well, Dr. X, Y, and Z charges that. So that's what I'm going to do. It's like, hell no. You don't know what their business is. You don't know what they're paying people. You don't know what they're able to take home. And so just be careful. Be careful with who you look up to. Now, I'm not saying your high-level clinicians aren't high-level clinicians. What I'm saying is, I remember being in school and thinking if you're a high-level clinician, that also means you're a high-level business owner, and that is not the case. Which is why, for me, getting this message and shouting it out to the rooftops for everyone out there is super important. I'm happy to share with anyone anything other than our staff salaries because I want you to see how business actually works. You cannot charge these prices that your friends or your colleagues or your mentors charge doing 4, 5, 6 patient visits an hour and doing 1 visit. And if you either don't have the confidence or self-belief, or you don't have the marketing or sales skills, which we'll talk about in a second, if you don't have that and you can't justify charging that price, well, first I would say plug for the program. You need to be in our group. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine too, but figure out a different business model. Do high volume practice, take insurance and see 6, 7 patients an hour. Because the last thing I want for you, anyone listening to this podcast, whether you're in our program or not, is to be broke. And you will be broke if you don't understand math and your price structure is off. So that's number 2. Number 3, on a most fundamental level, listen, I know you went to school to become a doctor and you have your doctorate and you probably were exercise science and you spent time treating the human body. But if you're going to be in practice as an associate, as a doctor, as a practice owner, anything, you have to understand the fundamentals of marketing and sales. Now, specifically with my audience, my Rehab chiropractic audience, what you have to understand is something we teach in the sales process called value for unique solutions. So let me give you a couple minutes on that. You have to, let's assume you do number 2 and your price structure is correct. That means that you better be charging more than all of the other local chiropractors in your town. Now, that means that those people have to understand why they would pay more and be able to justify it to see you. If you don't have a good marketing message and sales process, they will tell you that they want to use their insurance. They will tell you that it is too expensive. They will not see the value in the unique solution that you provide. And if they don't see that, do not expect them to pay you. Now, something else I will tell you. We teach in our program in the sales process, there's a difference between an obstacle and an objection. An obstacle is what they say. So they will tell you that you're too expensive. They will tell you, I'm not going to you because they don't take your insurance. I believe that's an obstacle. That is not the real reason why. And so if you don't understand your marketing and sales message and how to differentiate yourself and justify the prices that you need to charge in the Rehab chiropractic model, you are going to get stuck. You're going to lose. If I need to be the bad guy to tell you that now, I would much rather that happen today than in 3 or 4 years when you're broke and you've already lost and then you're out of the profession. So if you're in practice right now, potentially you're either just graduating, opening your own practice, or another type of person, you are in network and want to transition to out of network practice, these rules still apply. So the 3, 80-20 in the wrong direction, bad news. Don't understand price structure, terrible news. Cannot market and sell, even worse news. This is why you will get stuck. Hey, if you're out there and any of this resonates with you, we've helped so many people already. Humbly, I'm sure we can help you as well. Happy to talk, reach out, coaching@strivetomove.com, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And if you found this content valuable, here are 4 ways I can help you for free. 1, grab a copy of my free guide, the Rehab Chiropractors Checklist. You can get that at go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. That's go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. 2, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram @Justin Rabinowitz, where I post business content. 3, subscribe to my weekly newsletter by sending me an email at coaching@strivetomove.com. And 4, leave us a 5-star review so we can gain access to more influential people and bring those lessons back to you.